Caregiver for the Caregiver program from UT Health and the Big City. Thank you.
Sorry. All right. I was just kidding. Oh my God.
Right.
I follow direction.
I know. Right?
Well, thank you all so much for allowing me to be here today, and hard to follow, Mr. Bonner, but thank you so much for sharing your story. I think that really is very telling of why I will kick off kind of the resource section of our summit today and talk a little bit about trying to meet the needs of caregivers and families across the journey. Sorry, I'm also trying to get the slides right here on this page. So I'm representing here today UT Health San Antonio, so the Caring for the Caregiver program along with the Mix Institute. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about UT Health in general, but also our approach to trying to meet the needs of our caregivers and families. I'm going to show you a little bit about our programs, but really just try and keep kind of a general overview. I hope that many of you were able to visit our booth and talk with each of us. But if you weren't, I really encourage you all to talk with us and get to know some more details to really figure out how these programs may fit for you. So UT Health San Antonio, I'm sure many of you are familiar with. I'm speaking on behalf of the Caring for the Caregiver program and the Bates Institute. So we are two separate entities under the university, but we collaborate together on many of our programs to try and create engaging programming and supportive opportunities to families living with dementia. So we have really created programs, engagement opportunities, service and research, education opportunities to support families living with dementia across the journey. We really want to make sure that we get all aspects of this journey of caregiving. I'm not sure if I'm controlling this or is it, oh, okay, no problem. So yeah, just on the right there are some photos for you to just really get an understanding of who we are and what we're about. You see some different engagement programming as well as education. Advocacy is really important for us as well. And so just really getting a chance to show you who we are today, this afternoon. I'll take the next slide, great. So before we get started and really understanding our programs, I wanted to share with you about the way we've approached creating programs with the university here. So we understand that dementia is progressive, it's not linear. Needs don't stay the same for a person living with dementia, and things can change from day to day. And that also is the same for the caregiver as well. We completely understand that one day may look different than the next in terms of needs and what support is necessary. So that's the approach that we've really taken in creating these programs and addressing the needs of the caregiver throughout the process, inclusive of the person living with dementia. We very much understand that this isn't a unique and kind of one-person journey. This is oftentimes a family journey, really being able to go through this together. So we want to include all people within a family affected by dementia. I'm sorry, we can go back one point there. Just really, the point I really want to emphasize and take away today is that families can join our program at any point in this journey. This is even pre-diagnosis when you're trying to figure out really what's happening, even into 10 plus years of being with this journey. This is something that we really advocate. There's a space for everyone in our programs. If you're not sure where to get started or what to do, another big emphasis and takeaway is that we're here to help you figure out and anticipate your needs throughout this process. Next slide, thank you. So on this slide, you'll see a really large overview of all of our programming. I know that this can look overwhelming, but I really wanted to put it up there in this way to show you just the number of programs that are available. There's different areas that we've tried to cover, as well as across the trajectory, again, from that idea of pre-diagnosis all the way into many years into this process. I'm going to go through each one of these kind of section by section. I won't go into the programs in detail, but again, I hope that you were able to collect some of our flyers or able to get in contact with us to talk a little bit more about it. A big part of this also is, you may look at these and may think that you don't need these programs now, or maybe this is not appropriate for you, but really our big important impact is to be proactive. We again really try and match families with what they may need or currently need. So, really working with us to figure out where you may fit in this program. Education, as you all know, is essential. We talk a lot about how important it is to understand a diagnosis before you're ever able to really provide care. And that's the same for our program as well. This is the foundational piece for our program is education. As well as understanding a diagnosis, though, we understand that education expands past that. We know that caregivers really need support in understanding certain behaviors, understanding approaches of a caregiver to really figure out what do I do in this situation or in this scenario. Also in planning and caregiving logistical aspects. But something that is really passionate about, that I'm passionate about as a licensed professional counselor is also the emotional needs of a caregiver, is really being able to educate and understand how you're feeling and why you're feeling this way. So as you can see here, we have Essentials of Caregiving classes, along with other seminars that are offered one time, but cover a range of topics. And in these topics, we really try and meet the needs of what the community is needing. So if we hear that, there's really more need for understanding around, a certain topic, we try and provide those educational opportunities. As well as Learning Skills Together, which is a much more complex care, hands-on training that's provided to caregivers to try and keep individuals safe in the home for as long as possible. So service and support, this is an area that is, again, really important to us because as we talked about education for the caregiver, it's also education for the community. And so we have programs really focused on training for the professionals and people like community health workers within our community to really change the way our care is offered to people living with dementia. Alongside caregivers, community health workers, medical healthcare professionals, it's really important to have a deep understanding of what is dementia and how to care for it. So that's a big passion of ours as well. Support groups, we talked a lot about the need for connectivity and support and really being able to meet with others. We have a robust amount of resources that I'm sure you're going to hear more about from other organizations that really meet caregiver needs. So with our programs, we've tried to really offer unique opportunities. We have groups for adult children who are caring for a parent. We have groups focused on grief and loss and focusing on those emotions throughout caregiving. So again, it's really our role to try and supplement what some of the awesome programs are doing in our community as well. As well as family care, counseling, and social work support that goes along with our clinical care. Again, with this big understanding that there isn't just a medical side of this or a kind of resource side. We know that this is a big picture in which caregivers need to be supported on many multiple levels to be able to feel successful in this process. Research, I'm sure many of you, when you think of UT Health, think of research, and us being a large research institute is the case for our programs as well. We have a number of research opportunities available to our families. We are a Alzheimer's disease research center designated by the National Institute of Aging, and the Caring for the Caregiver program has received a number of research grants to study caregiving as well as dementia. But what's unique about our program is that it is really important for us to base our research off of what is important to you all, what is important to the community. We want research to reflect the needs of the community and what's important to them, and so we hold a lot of focus groups and community forums to be able to continually hear you know. That information reflects in our programs as well as in our research, including a community block that's coming up to really understand more about dementia and Latino families. Again, really with the aim to make sure what we're doing is reflective of what's needed in the community. Engagement, and this is something, again, I'm passionate about as well, as Mr. Glenn just talked about. Engaging families, engaging individuals living with the diagnosis is tremendously important for their outcomes, but also for the caregivers' outcomes as well. We know that staying socially active as well as cognitively active is extremely important in maintaining good health outcomes, and so it's been our pleasure to be able to offer a number of engaging opportunities. We have things in art as well as music-based programs and physical activity engagement opportunities for the caregiver, but also inclusive of a person living with a diagnosis. This is something that can be done together, and we invite families, including grandchildren, aunts, uncles, everyone to attend these programs with us, as we know, again, that this is a group and family effort. So it's really wonderful to have individuals come to these programs. We also have programs focused on social support, memory cafes, that's been fortunate to be able to be expanded to a Texas network. And Sarah, who I believe many of you know from the Caring for the Caregiver program, has been able to work with places all over to create social opportunities through memory cafes in our state. We have a reassurance program that I think also really speaks to our efforts to engage the community, which involves train students being able to make phone calls with our caregivers on a regular basis at the frequency that the caregiver requests. And this person will then help advocate for their partner, for their caregiver, and really figure out what resources are needed, talking with the team, talking with our clinical care as well, and really just figuring out what is the need of the moment. And this lasts throughout the trajectory. Again, the big emphasis I would like to take away here is that, this isn't a one-time thing. We really want to make sure that caregivers supported either through our programs or external programs throughout this process. Once you're with us for life. And so lastly, a big area that many of you are familiar with, I see some familiar faces, is Dementia-Friendly San Antonio. So as part of our engagement, it's also engaging with the community and really focusing on advocacy. I'm sure many of you have experienced or heard today the sometimes stigma that comes with this diagnosis, and people not really always understanding in our community what's needed, how to support these families. And so Dementia Friendly has led to our city being designated in 2019 as a Dementia Friendly city. I see some of the council members here in the audience today, and the council really works hard to address the needs of the community and make fundamental changes in our city. Again, that very strategic advocacy of not just saying this is important or we need to do more, but really figuring out how do we get this done. The next slide that I think some of you all were able to see a sneak peek of is just a collection of pictures. I really wanted to include this because I wanted you all to see a lot of the fun that we get to have in our program. These programs here span from pre-COVID to post-COVID. You'll see some Zoom meetings there as well as in-person events. But I really just love enjoying the smiles and the laughter that we get to see at some of these programs. Again, with social connectedness being so important, I really am fortunate to be able to be a part of these types of events. So, that's really all I have for you today, and I hope that, again, each of you are able to connect with us in some form or fashion, because our main takeaway is we really want to be able to connect you with the resources that you need at the time. And so, I really encourage you all to get involved, to join us, whether that be in one of our events, visiting our websites, talking with us in person again. I don't think you'll have an opportunity to go to the booth again today, but if you see me or if you see anyone with the UT Health logo, I think just talking with us and getting to know us, and we can then help kind of get to know you all and figure out what's needed. I appreciate your time today, and I thank you for letting me share these details with you. I hope that we can get connected with you in the future. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Melissa on programs? I was asking if there were any questions.
Oh, sure.
I'm throwing you under the bus. Oh.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, our slide here has our contact information. Please feel free to take a picture of this, and please feel free to give us a call, email, visit our website to get connected. There are some inquiry forms on our website that you can get connected with as well to talk with someone and figure out where you're going. Again, if it can't be met through us, we really want to at least be able to connect you with some resources that can help.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Melissa. I appreciate your time. Sorry I didn't see you stand up first. That's here on your spot. So good. Thank you. I did want to quickly announce today, Angel, who is our connection here at the Norris Conference Center, today is his birthday. So I think he's out in the office just outside, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so go sing happy birthday to him. Go tell him happy birthday. He's working on his birthday to support the Alzheimer's Association. That's pretty cool. I also, since we have just a couple of extra minutes, I want to say thank you to our tech team. I know thank you. Yeah. I know at times it seems like things are being held together with kind of duct tape and shoestring. But I do want to give a shout out to Daryl, to Betty, and to Z. They are with Senior Planet, with the older adults technology. It stands for services. There you go. That's good. Which AARP is now. They're now a part of AARP. So hopefully you have time to stop by their booth. But They are just a wealth of information for technology around seniors. They don't normally put on conferences, so but they, man, if your adult needs help understanding technology, their phone, these are the guys to do it. So again, thank you to them and for stepping up and helping us kind of put on this virtual conference that nobody thought we would have to do. Right? So thank you guys. With that, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, which is Kimberly Beasley. I saw her a minute ago. Oh, there she is. Okay. I know she's here. I'll tell you my favorite senior joke. Okay. I think most of you have probably heard this if you've ever heard me speak. Okay, that son goes to drop off his dad at an older adult facility, and they get in there, and the son says, "Well, I have to go do some paperwork." So he sits his dad down near the nurse's station and says, "Just wait right here, and I'll be right back." And so the dad's sitting there. He starts to lean forward. One of the nurses runs over and puts a pillow in front of him. Dad starts to lean to the left. The nurse comes over and props a pillow up on his left side. So he starts to lean to his right. Nurse comes over and pops a pillow on his right side. A few minutes later, the son comes back by and he says, "Dad, I finished the paperwork. What do you think of the place so far?" He said, "It's nice. I've seen a lot of people walk by. It's great. Everybody's been really friendly. But damn it, they won't let you fart." All right. So with that, yeah, and that's my best senior joke. Okay. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Kimberly Beasley with a thank you, Tony Plana. Come on, round of applause. Okay. So this is Kimberly Beasley, Health and Wellness Specialist at Alamo Area Council of Government, and she's going to talk to us about the Alamo Area Council of Governments, the Area Agency on Aging Resources. So this microphone's live, or if you want to walk around.
I will be
you are.
exercising.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's my
Don't
cue.
leave
That's
if you
my
wanna
cue to leave.
exercise.
Yeah, exercise. No.
Can y'all hear me? I'm going to need to turn up. I'm good? Hello, everyone. My name is Kimberly Beasley. I'm the Alamo Area, did my slides come up? Health and Wellness Specialist for AACOG. All right, wonderful. Thank you. All right, I won't stand behind the podium because you won't be able to see me. I'm a little short in stature, as you can tell, and hopefully I won't move too much and fall off the stage. All right, so AACOG, this is our region map. We like to call this the donut. So in the whole is Bexar County. That's where my counterpart works. And I do the rural counties, which is the donut. So everything outside of Bexar County. So we do a lot of programs in the AACOG. Our caregiver program, our veterans program. But today we are going to focus on health and wellness. Because as caregivers, you kind of forget to take care of yourself. You're busy taking care of everyone else, and you forget to take care of yourself. So I'm here to give you some tools to help you take care of yourself. And I'm going to talk about the classes that we provide. Okay, so our classes are all evidence-based, and all that means is that our classes have been studied and proven to increase your balance, your strength, and your flexibility. All right, so I'm going to talk about a couple of those classes, and then at the end, I'm going to let y'all do a couple of the exercises that we perform in those classes. All right, so what type of activities do y'all like to do? Dancing. Dancing, wonderful. Anything else? Walking. Okay, good. Those are all good activities. But I want to tell you about the 3 classes that we provide that you can take in person at a community center or at a church, or that you can do virtually. We use GoToMeeting to do our virtual classes. All right, so I'm going to be asking questions here, so y'all can't sit and just be quiet. You got to interact with me, all right? All right, so our first class is our matter of balance class, all right? You're at a higher risk of falling if you can't stand on one leg for 10 seconds. Okay? I don't know how many of y'all knew that, but that's something that you can try at home. Make sure you have something to hold on to so you don't fall, okay? And if you can't stand on your one leg for 10 seconds, then you need to talk to your doctor, okay? And say, hey, I need to have a balance test. And then they'll probably send you to a physical therapist, and they'll give you exercises to help improve those muscles that may be weak. Okay, and that's where our balance class comes in, and we do a lot of discussion on how you can improve your balance, some common sense things that you can do around your home and with your body. All right, first question. Oh no. You didn't see that. Before you saw that, what percentage of falls are preventable? Don't say what you saw. What did you think before you saw that? 50%. 50. All right, now you can flip it up. It's 80%. So, and that 80%, that's what we talk about in our matter balance class. What you can do to prevent those falls. Next question. Give me 3 ways that you think you can prevent a fall today. Balance. Okay, walking. Okay, I'll show you what I put. All right, what's my first one? Stop wearing flip-flops. It's so easy. You can stop doing that today. I know, Texas, you're like, I gotta wear my flip-flops. But flip-flops are really bad for your feet, all right? Your toes have to work really hard to keep that flip-flop on your foot. They're called flip-flops for a reason. They flip-flop and your feet fall right out of them, right? So flip-flops, not a good idea. Next one. Check to see if your medications make you dizzy, right? So I know we all don't read those warning signs, but you need to know if your medications are going to make you dizzy, because that's going to help prevent a fall as well. Remove those throw rugs and clutter from your home. How many of us actually check our throw rugs to make sure they don't have those dog ears? Right? Because if they have those dog ears, guess what? Those flip-flops that you're wearing are going to get caught, and then you're going to fall. All right? So we want to remove those throw rugs and actually throw them out. All right, so in our matter of balance class, 8 sessions, all right, held once or twice a week for 2 hours, and the focus, of course, is on fall prevention, and we have discussion in this class, and then we do some exercises for 25 to 30 minutes. Bingo size is our next class. This is a new program that we just started, actually when COVID hit it, is when we first started this class. All right, so every decade, we lose 3 to 5% of our muscle mass due to the aging process called sarcopenia. I know some of you are nurses in here, and you probably already knew that. Do you know how you can slow down that process? We can't stop it, but do you know how to slow it down? Use weights. Exercise, yeah. All right, so you can lose less if you're exercising than a person who doesn't exercise. Okay, so just movement itself. True or false? Hearing aids don't make a difference in balance. False. False, exactly. They do make a difference in balance. Actually, people who turn on their hearing aids can maintain their balance twice as long as those who don't. That's why before I start my classes, I always say, do you have a hearing aid? Please turn it on. Make sure it's working, okay? In a home with no stairs, which 2 rooms have the highest percentage of falls? Try again. Bedroom and living room. Yes, I know. I was surprised too, right? So the reason for that is, what do you do in those 2 rooms? No, what are you doing? You're laying down, you're getting back up. That movement, for some of us who may have low blood pressure or orthostatic hypertension, when you go from that lying down position to that upright position and you have dizziness, right, that's going to cause you to fall. And that's where that happens, in the living room and in the bedroom. So you have to make sure that you're moving slowly to allow that blood time to circulate through your body. Okay, very important. Next. All right, so our bingo size, 20 sessions for just an hour. All right, we have a fall prevention class and a nutrition class. And we do trivia questions and 50 minutes of exercise. So we do those trivia questions in between the bingo rolls. So you do get to play bingo and win a prize. It's a lot of fun. All right, and those are the only counties where we provide those services right now, but hopefully we can extend it. Can you go back one slide? Thank you. So right now, it's only offered in Atascosa, Bandera, Bexar, Frio, Medina, and Wilson counties. However, if you take it virtually, you can belong to any of the counties. All right, our last class is our exercise select class. All right, walking is not only good for your heart, it's also good for the low risk of injury, sorry. So you want to find exercises that you enjoy doing that are gentle on your joints. Walking is one, biking's another, the elliptical, stuff like that, stuff that is not going to cause you any pain. All right, so how many days of the week should you exercise and for how long? So how many days should you exercise? Okay, and for how long? Okay, so what's the answer then? Most days of the week, right? And remember, there's 7 days in the week. Even when you're retired, there's 7 days still in the week. So most days of the week should be about 5, and you want to do 30 minutes. And you want to make sure you have 4 types of exercises. One that's going to focus on your balance, flexibility, endurance, and strength. Next question. So what's the difference between a serving size and a portion size? What's a serving size?
Okay, so serving size they give you.
Serving size is what's on the nutrition labels. It tells you how many calories, how much fat, all that wonderful stuff. But the portion size is what you put on your plate and you actually consume. All right? Very good. All right, so that's what that portion size is. And most of us are eating more portions than we need to. Okay? Next slide. All right, so our exercise class, 20 sessions held twice a week, where we discuss exercise and nutrition. So one day we talk all about fitness and exercise. The next day we talk about nutrition, that portion control, reading those food labels. And then we do exercises for 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so move it or lose it. This is where you're going to get a chance to exercise. All right, I'm going to grab a chair. All right, so can you bring up the next slide, please? So these are the 10 exercises that we are going to do, because I want you to be able to exercise anywhere. And I know a lot of you are thinking, I don't have 2 hours to go to a matter of balance class or a bingo size class, but I want to show you that you can do simple moves throughout your day that'll get your body moving, because the most important thing is to start moving. All right, so let's sit up tall. Make sure those feet are flat on the floor. So if you are short in stature like myself, you will be sitting on the edge of that chair just a little bit so your feet don't flat. All right? We're going to start with that deep breathing. So sitting up tall, we're going to inhale through our nose where you feel that diaphragm coming in. And then exhale. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Very good. That's when it's called a good morning. You know when you get up in the morning and you go, oh, that's what I want you to do. Just reach for the sky, reach one arm up and one arm down, and switch to the other side. We know it feels good. We all do it in the morning. Let's do one more time on this side. And then one more time on this other side. Oh, that feels so good. All right? Next, we're going to do our shoulder rolls. All right? So first we're going to drop those shoulders down. Then I want you to bring them up to your ears and then roll them forward. We're going to do that for a count of 5. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's go backwards with it. Up and back. Up and back. And let's do 3, 4, and 5. Very good. We stretch that chest, our back, getting that blood working in those shoulders. All right, next is our diagonal arm across our body. So that your right hand is coming out like you're telling someone to stop. I want you to bring it across the front of your chest. You should feel a stretch in the shoulders and that upper back. Bring it back to the center. Let's go to the side again. Back to the center. And this is 3. Back to the center. And 4. back to the center, and 5. Back to the center. Let's switch arms because we have to do both sides, right? Or we'll be unequal. Let's go. Cross that chest, and back to the center, and 2, back to the center, and 3, back to the center, 4, back to the center, and 5, back to the center. Very good, shaking it out. All right, next we're gonna look left and look right. We all hold tension in our necks, especially if you're driving here in San Antonio, right? So we're gonna stretch that out a little bit. In order to do that, we wanna sit up tall. We're gonna turn our head to the left. We're gonna come back to the center and turn it to the left again. And back to the center. And 3. Back to the center. And 4. Back to the center. And 5. And back to the center. Now we got to cut this guy off on the right, so now we're going to turn that head to the right. Come back to the center, keeping those shoulders down. 2. Back to the center. 3. Back to the center. 4. Back to the center. And 5. And back to the center. Very good. All right, next are those foot circles. So we're going to kick out that left foot because our ankles are our most important joint in our body, because that's what's going to help you when you're walking and you're going over terrain. You need that ankle to move in all directions. So let's make that circle first going clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then let's go in the other direction. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's switch legs. Remember that snap, crackling, and popping? That's okay, don't worry about it. All right, let's go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Go in the other direction. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very good. Next, we're going to do a seated march. So sitting in that chair, those feet are about hip distance apart. You're going to lift one leg up, and then the left. Going back and forth. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Very good. All right. Next is our finger spread. So we're going to spread those fingers as wide as you can get them, and then go into a gentle fist. Open wide, gentle fist. And 3, gentle fist. 4, gentle fist. And 5, gentle fist. Very good. Shake it out. And then our last exercise is to touch the elbow stretch. Fingertips are going on your shoulders, and then you're bringing those elbows forward if you can to touch each other. It's okay if they can't. And then you're going to open it. And we're going to close it and open. Nice and slow. We're slow flying butterflies is what I like to say. We don't fly very fast because we're a little older, right? That's okay. And then let's do one more. And relax. All right, so those are exercises that you can do while you're watching TV, when you're taking that break, so that you can move. All right, so there are 3 things that I want you all to remember from this talk. First of all, change whatever faulty habits you have, starting with those flip-flops, right? Getting those eyes and ears checked yearly, because that's very important. That's going to help reduce your chances of falling. And most important, move. All right? If you don't move it, you're going to lose it. So you need to make sure you're moving. Okay? Thank you so much. I do appreciate you all.
Oh my gosh. If anybody here tells my wife that I exercise, I'm going to be so mad. Okay.
I just want the AACOG website for the classes.
Yes.
Yes, you can go to our website to see where our classes are located, yes. Yes, you can go on our website and, or you can call that number have you been to my table? There's a health and wellness guide in there. You can call that number as well and ask what classes that we're having and they can provide that to you as well. www.acog.com.
AACOG is AACOG, just like her shirt. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, man, we needed that. Should have started the day with that. Okay, well now, oh my goodness, last but not least, we saved the best, the absolute best for last. No pressure, Tina. Tina, who doesn't know her left from her right, I can tell you.
I actually looked at Byron when I...
So this is Tina Smith. She's the Director of Caregiver Programs at WellMed Charitable Foundation. Again, just a wonderful, wonderful resource. And so I'll hand it over to you to talk about what WellMed can do for us. Thank you.
So thank you all for sticking around. I appreciate you all still being here. And so as Byron said, my name is Tina Smith, and I am with the WellMed Charitable Foundation. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do. And so next slide, please. So just a little bit about the WellMed Charitable Foundation. If you're familiar with the WellMed clinics, we have a lot here in San Antonio. We are the nonprofit arm of WellMed Medical Management. We were established in 2006 by Dr. George Rapier. And our mission is to support programs that serve seniors and their family caregivers. And we have 3 programs I want to talk about just briefly. One is our social responsibility program. One is our senior centers, and then the Caregiver SOS program that I manage. So our foundation, we are able to provide funding. We serve different ways in our social responsibility. We're able to provide funding to different agencies in the different markets that we serve, that serve seniors. Over the course of the time of the foundation, we've been able to provide $58.3 million for community investments within the community. We have also a lot of our WellMed staff in the different markets provide volunteer hours within the communities as well. With our senior centers, we actually have 3 here in San Antonio. We have 11 total across the WellMed markets, but we have 3 here that are owned by the foundation. We work with the city of San Antonio with several of them. They are full activity centers. If you've never had an opportunity to go, we certainly encourage you to go. We have the Griffin Center, which is over by Ingram Park Mall. I've talked to a couple people here that go to the Griffin Center. We have the Lopez Center that's on Calabria, that's outside of 410. And then we have the Cisneros Center, which is the southern part of town off of Southwest Military. The only requirement is that you be 60 years of age or older. Pardon me? Well, Juan Ross is a city site, so the city of San Antonio, that's perfectly okay, because the city of San Antonio they just opened up a brand new one. I want to say they have 9, I think they have 9 senior centers, and we're very much alike. And we do work with the city on our sites, but you just have to be 60 years of age or older, and that's it. All the services are free. We provide a new meal. We have full exercise classes. We have salsa classes, Zumba classes, computer classes, art classes, just a wide variety. You can come just sit and hang out. We have lots of pool tables, so lots to do. It's a chance to engage. You can bring your loved one as long as you stay with them, and you can maybe get some social engagement or participate in some of the classes. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know about those because they are available. We do have a virtual option as well. If you go to our website, there's a link where you can see some recorded classes, and then some of the senior sites have live classes that you can log into. And then the Caregiver SOS program, that's the program that I oversee, and our main focus is to provide information and support to family members, such as yourself, that are providing care for a loved one. We want to make sure that you have the tools and the support that you need to keep on providing that level of care. I should say that All of our services are free, and they're open to the community. You do not need to be a WellMed member to access our services. And we have three programs. We have our caregiver coaching, caregiver teleconnection, and stress vesting program, which I'm going to go over here in just a little bit. But first I wanted to talk about the next slide, please, just about caregiving in general. So this is just a snapshot of caregivers. The National Alliance to Caregiving came up with this report along with the ARP back in 2020. And essentially, the numbers of family caregivers have increased over the past 5 years or so. You can see that about 53 million people are providing some level of informal care, and that's just a whole wide range of what is happening. There are about 24% of those caregivers that are providing care for more than one person. About 26% find it hard to coordinate care. They're having to call multiple doctors and insurance companies and all of the different services that your loved one may need. That can be difficult to navigate some of those systems, so it's a challenge at times. About 26% of those caregivers are caring for someone with dementia. And then about 21% of those caregivers find that their health, they would rate their health as fair to poor. And about 23% say that their health has definitely declined since taking on caregiving. Because we find that sometimes, or a lot of times, as a caregiver, you're so busy providing care for your loved ones that your needs often move to the back burner. And we find about 61% of caregivers are women and about 39% are men, but we're seeing more and more men step into that role of caregiving. And about 61% of caregivers are working either part-time or full-time. So this is just a snapshot. I just wanted to show you just kind of a national snapshot of what caregivers, kind of a picture of what a caregiver looks like. So essentially as a caregiver, family caregiver, you are the gatekeeper of care. When you leave the doctor's office with your loved one, you are the one that makes sure that care happens. You order those medications and make sure that medication is taken appropriately. You may be providing wound care or some other kind of nursing care. You're coordinating those doctor appointments and other kind of appointments that may be needed. You're making those emergency room decisions or decisions in the doctor's office. You're doing all of these. You're making sure that this is happening for your loved one, most often without little to no training. It's kind of like an on-the-job training, right? You find out as you go. And so one of the things we know with caregiving, along with caregiving, comes a great deal of stress, and it varies. And in talking to caregivers and looking at some of the research, these are some areas where a lot of that stress kind of comes from. Part of it is that changing of roles. Am I the daughter or am I the caregiver? Having to switch and find that can be a hard balance to reconcile. Am I the wife or am I the caregiver? That can create a lot of stress on where you are in that relationship. Managing time. You all have just in life, in general life can be pretty busy and you may have a lot to do, but on top of that, you're taking care of one or two other people, and so then that can be hard to manage that time. Financial strain, we find that caregivers are oftentimes paying for several things or many things out of pocket, and that can be very stressful, especially in today's day and time, trying to manage all of the finances and trying to keep up with that. Lack of time to yourself. Again, you're giving and you're giving and you're giving to your loved one and you're making sure that they have what they need. Your time to yourself is often put on the back burner. Maybe it's just you spend all your time physically doing things for your loved one, and that doesn't leave any time for yourself. Maybe you feel guilty when it's time, when you have a moment, a break, and just don't feel that it's the right thing to do because your loved one might need something. Isolation. Caregiving can be very isolating, and this can be very stressful. It may be that you just don't have time to leave your loved one and to go out with coffee with a friend or go to that class that you like to, or maybe you can't. You don't have the resources, or you don't know where you can leave your loved one. You're not able to leave them home by themselves. Or maybe it's that your friends have kind of drifted away. They're not sure how to how to relate, and maybe they've started to drift away a little bit. It can happen that way too, and so that can create some stress. And then sleep deprivation. Maybe it's because your loved one isn't sleeping regular hours any longer, or maybe it's because of stress that you wake up in the middle of the night. But all of these things, and this isn't an all-inclusive list by any stretch of the imagination, but all of these create stress. So I don't know how many times you may feel like this. I don't know, it could be a daily thing, an hourly thing. But my point is, the next slide please, stress can be pretty impactful on just about every aspect of our lives. You know, we've grown up, you know, as we have gone along in life, we've had different stressful moments. You know, school, you had a test coming up and you were stressed about that, or a presentation, or maybe with work you had a deadline coming up, or volunteer activities, you had a lot to do and you had to get moving, or raising kids can be stressful. But a lot of those are what we call acute stress. They're short and you can move from, you know, event to event, but you have a break, you've got some downtime. We find that with caregiving, it's more long-term stress. It's a constant stress that a lot of caregivers we find that are experiencing, and that can have an impact on our bodies. Our bodies are not meant to withstand a long-term level of stress. And so I won't read all of these to you, but it can impact your body. You know, you may get those headaches or the tension that you may feel. It impacts your mind. Maybe you start forgetting things and you start worrying, oh my gosh, do I have dementia? But stress can cause some forgetfulness, depression. You know, it can cause that sadness, it can cause that depression. Our behaviors, maybe we're snapping at people a little bit more. You know, maybe picking up some bad habits, possibly, to deal with what we're doing, or emotions. And so it impacts just about every aspect of our lives. And under that constant stress, if we don't do anything to relieve it, then you know, if we don't take steps to manage that stress, our body is going to stop this for us. And usually it's in some form of a health event, whether it's a heart attack or something along those lines. And so as caregivers, and being under constant stress, it's very important that you learn to manage, because the stress that you're dealing with isn't necessarily going to go away, but learning how to manage it is the key to being able to keep going. So again, why is it important? Because again, it impacts us both physically, emotionally, behaviorally, mentally. It means we need that break. Stress builds over time and can lead to burnout. I don't know if anyone's ever felt like they're close to burnout or has experienced burnout, but that's when you just have reached that wall, where you feel like you just can't take another step. You may not care what's going to happen, and you certainly want to avoid getting to that point of burnout. If burnout occurs, the caregiver is no longer able to provide care. If you have reached that wall, if you have reached that limit, you're not going to be able to provide the care needed for your loved one. And so that is why it's so important to incorporate daily relaxation, exercises, taking those steps to prevent that just constant level of stress. So there are several different things that you can do. What works for one person to reduce stress won't necessarily work for the next. So it's a very individual activity. But we really do encourage you to incorporate some type of relaxation technique into your daily routine. And you know, deep breathing. We just did some deep breathing with Kim. You know, when you did that, when you took those deep, intentional breaths, did you feel a little bit different after you went through that part of the exercise? Just a little bit. When you take those deep breaths, it gives you a moment, one, mentally, to kind of take a step back and refocus on how you need to react to whatever situation is in front of you. But you're also getting oxygen through your body. When you're stressed out, when you breathe, you tend to breathe shallow, fast breaths. And so that oxygen is not flowing through your body like you need it to. So taking those deep, intentional breaths, well, really it will help that oxygen, and it really does help reduce stress. And the nice thing about the breathing exercises is that you can do it anywhere. You can do it in traffic. When you get stopped at that light or someone cuts you off, you just take a deep breath. when you're standing in that long line at the grocery store, or when your loved one is maybe exhibiting some behaviors that are hard to, asking you the repeated questions or whatever that might be, you could just stop and take a breath, refocus, and just get that oxygen flowing and help you kind of bring down maybe some of that anxiety that you're feeling. Really do encourage you to practice that one. Write it on a sticky note, put it in your calendar to practice several times a day. It doesn't have to take a long time, just a few rounds of deep intentional breathing, and I think that you'll find a difference. Meditation, this may or may not be for everybody, but oftentimes when we hear about meditation, we think of someone sitting cross-legged and the kind of thing, and it doesn't have to be that way. It's a kind of a movement into reflective thought, and it doesn't have to take a long time. You can do this in 5 or 10 minute segments, but it's a chance to kind of still your mind. Well, I say still your mind because you may not be able to initially. It takes practice. This is something that isn't necessarily an automatic. You have to really focus and take that, because I don't know how many of y'all, but I know it happens to me, is that when I have a quiet moment, that's when all those thoughts start, and everything that you need to do starts coming through your mind. I encourage you, if you do practice this, make those thoughts like clouds. Let them be there. Don't try to fight them, because the more you fight them, that means the more you're focusing on them. But let them be there and let them kind of float. Just let them float, and you focus on that kind of downtime that you have. Again, start out with 5 minutes. You can have music if you want, or have quiet, whatever it is that you want, but try it for 5 minutes. And then maybe as you go, try it a little bit longer. Try to get some music. There are some guided meditations you can find on YouTube. So again, I encourage you to try it and just see if this is something that might bring you a moment of relaxation. Imagery, that's one of those where you have a picture of your favorite vacation spot or anywhere like that, and then you just kind of put yourself in that spot, some kind of happier moment. Art, for some, need that creative outlet, drawing, or those adult coloring books are very big right now. So sometimes just that it's a mindless activity. You don't have to think too hard about it. Just gives your mind and your body a break. Music can be very relaxing, or it can be very energizing. But again, these are just some examples of some relaxation techniques that you can do. But again, I encourage you to find something that works. Find 1 or 2 things that work and truly incorporate them into your daily routine. Whether it's in the morning when you first wake up, or before you go to bed, or after dinner and things are starting to kind of wind down, whatever that looks like for you. Again, it's going to be very individual. And I know I've done the same. It's like, okay, you just said that we're super busy with caregiving and we don't even have time for ourselves. How do you expect me to find time to color an adult coloring book or meditate or do those deep breathings? Again, this doesn't have to take a lot of time. Just that break. Give yourself 5-10 minutes. Allow yourself 5 or 10 minutes to do something for yourself that you enjoy and that can bring you some peace. Again, practice breathing. That's probably one of the quicker relaxation activities. Put it on your calendar. Schedule it in if you need to. Physically write it on your calendar if you need to do that. One of the hardest tasks as a caregiver is taking care of yourself first. But it's so important. Taking care of yourself is not being selfish. It is not taking away from your loved one. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity. Because as long as if you are in a good spot physically and mentally, then your loved one, you'll be able to provide that care for your loved one. So again, you need to make sure that you're good so that you can be good for your loved one. You are worth it. You are absolutely worth it. Also, another excuse that we hear is that, well, I can't turn off my mind, or I start turning to all those negative thoughts. And so again, some of those thoughts, you don't have to have a blank, like if you're doing imagery or you're doing one of those relaxation techniques, it doesn't have to be void of any thought. That's going to be hard to do, but if you find yourself just focusing on those, maybe you just need to physically say stop, because that will just kind of reset you, give you a chance to reset. And again, it takes practice. It does take practice, but the more you do this, the more likely you'll be able to manage this. And then challenge any negative thoughts. what the following question, is it true? You may say to yourself, I can't do this, I'm doing well, I'm failing. But really examine that. Is that really true? Look at all of your successes. You've got your loved one, your loved one is going to the doctor regularly, you're taking the medications, you're doing activities with them, you're keeping them safe. Maybe a bad moment happened, but that doesn't define who you are as a caregiver. And I know those negative thoughts can come in. I think as a human being, it's sometimes a natural way to do, but again, fighting some of those natural thoughts or negative thoughts by saying, is it really true? Let's take a look. And it takes some self-introspection, or it takes some introspection and self-awareness on some of these, but that's maybe what you need to do to really get a good picture, a true picture of what's going on. Maybe you fall asleep. Maybe your body doesn't know how to relax. Maybe because the only time you have that moment to relax is when you go to bed, and so your body thinks, okay, it's time to relax, let's go to sleep. So you're tired, most likely. But again, this takes practice. We want you to try those relaxation techniques. So if you do find yourself falling asleep, one, that's okay. Perfectly okay. That does give you that break. But also maybe sit up. Maybe find a place where you can sit up and practice some of those, whatever it is, whether it's the meditation or sitting and listening to music, or it's just so your body can get used to being in a state of relaxation other than when it's time to go to sleep. So because that will help you physically and mentally is to bring your body down. And then also maybe in those moments when you are able to kind of quiet your mind, some of those hard emotions might pop up. That might be something that you're battling on thinking about. When you are able to relax, some of those hard emotions can bubble up. If the emotion is not too threatening or overwhelming, allow yourself to experience that emotion without judgment. Just let it sit there. Another strategy may be to focus on your breathing and let the emotion flow with each exhale. Maybe you need to write it down. Write down what you're feeling. I will tell you, sometimes you may have those hard feelings like anger or frustration or exhaustion. And you know what? You're human. Those are very normal feelings. We talk to caregivers all the time that are having some of those emotions. Those are hard places to sit in those emotions because they bring on a lot of stress and a lot of other, maybe some guilt. And so, we certainly want to help you move from those emotions, but if that's what you're feeling, then that's what you're feeling at that moment. And then how can we help you get past that? Next step. And I should also say, if you are experiencing those hard emotions and you're just having a hard time moving past them, know that you don't have to do that by yourself. There's all levels of assistance like that. Alzheimer's hotline. You can talk to somebody about some of those hard emotions. Our Caregiver Specialists through our Caregiver Support Program. If it needs to be a professional, there's absolutely no shame in seeking professional assistance because sometimes it's just too big and too hard to do it by yourself. And that's what they're there for. So I want to encourage you, if you feel that that's something that you need to do, to please take that step. There are some resources in the community to help you with that. So just some general tips for you. Time management, prioritize your activities. What is truly important that you need to get done for that day? Give yourself permission to say no. I know myself, and sometimes it's hard to say no. Someone asks you to do something. As caregivers, you're probably naturally nurturing people. So if a friend asks you for help, asks you, to join a committee or whatever that might look like, be okay with saying no. This is the season in your life, you've got a lot going on. It is okay to tell somebody no. Also give yourself permission to take shortcuts when you can. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. The house doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe if clutter bothers you, go find that back bedroom where you can put that stuff in for now and shut the door. Or if it is so you don't see it, you don't physically see it. You go into the grocery store, use those services. I mean, they have them a lot now where they can deliver your groceries to you. You don't necessarily have to do that if you're able to do that. Buy the chopped up vegetables and fruit. You don't have to do everything yourself. So again, take shortcuts when you can. You've got a lot going on. It's okay to do that. Evaluate what helps you cope. Again, with the relaxation techniques, the stress management techniques. What works for you may not work for someone else. You know, I've got a lot of friends that are runners. My husband's a runner, and he gets that runner's high. I can tell you, I don't get that runner's high when I run. I just get worn out, so it doesn't work for me, but it works for him. And so that's, you know, it's just whatever that works. Exercise is a good stress management technique for some people. Art is another one. Whatever it is that works for you, whatever brings you joy, whatever is going to fill your cup, I want you to evaluate that, figure out what it is, and incorporate that into your routine. Again, take care of yourself. Not a luxury, or not being selfish, it's a priority. It's a necessity. You need to take those moments to take care of yourself. And it's okay to ask for help. It's hard to do. I know for a lot of us, especially caregivers and people that are nurturers, and you want to help everybody, but you know, you want to do it yourself either because you don't want to be a bother to anybody, or as Dr. Lozano said earlier, you know, sometimes no one is going to do it quite like we do it. Again, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good, and it's okay to ask for help. This is the season of life that you're in. You need that additional help. You need that support. Whether it is, you know, I encourage you to have that friend that you can call and say, I don't need any advice. I don't need any feedback. I just need you to hear me, and let it out. Find that friend who would be willing to listen like that. I've heard, you know, a recommendation for care. You know what needs to be done around the house. So you need grocery shopping, you may need the lawn mowed, you've got meals to prepare, medications to go pick up. Any of those, write each of those down on an index card, and the next time someone says, well, let me know what I can do to help, pull those out and say, can you pick one? There's something here, you know, can you drop off a bag of groceries, or can you run to the store for me, or can you have your son come mow my yard, or whatever that might look like. It is okay to ask for help. This is the season of life that you're in. And again, it's okay to do that. And then give yourself some grace. You know, you're doing the best that you can. You may have a bad reaction to something, or you may get really frustrated, or maybe you didn't respond exactly like you wanted to. Give yourself some grace, take a step back and say, okay, how can I do better next time? Or how can I do different next time? And be more aware, or be aware, you know, as you find yourself reaching that spot again, you know, take those steps back and be able to respond differently. But when you're human, and so if you're not able to respond the way that you want to right away, it's okay. Like I said, just give yourself a break, some grace. Don't hold on to it. And just continue to move forward. Again, I've talked a little bit about why stress management is so important. It really is key, because I know that as caregivers, you're doing a lot. You're giving a lot, you're loving a lot, you're doing just a tremendous amount, and oftentimes you get left behind. And so we want to help you, give you those tools to help you do that. So just some of the services that we have with the Caregiver SOS program. We have caregiver coaching. We have Caregiver Specialists. We have 3 here in San Antonio, 1 in Corpus, and then 3 in the Valley. And then another Caregiver Specialist that serves the El Paso and Dallas regions. But they're people that you can talk to one-on-one. They can give you that one-on-one coaching. We have an assessment tool that will help us determine exactly where that stress lands. You may not even know exactly what's stressing you out. This just may be a constant way of living for you, so you can't even pinpoint really where that stress is happening. And so with this assessment tool we have, and with the conversation, we can see where that stress is landing and help address and help you manage that particular levels of stress. Then the Caregiver Specialist can help connect you to community resources. They all have support groups that they provide, both for Alzheimer's and dementia, as well as some general caregiving support groups. They're online, they're both online as well as in person. They have both. Next slide. Our next program is our Caregiver Teleconnection program. If you stop by our booth out there, we have a calendar, but these are hour-long learning sessions that we do on Zoom. We used to do them just on the phone because that was the most basic form of communication, but I will say because of the pandemic, that has opened up the online version and people wanted to see the speakers, but we have experts from around the country that come share information pertinent to caregiving. We talk a lot about dementia. We talk a lot about how caregivers can care for themselves and help manage their daily tasks. All of our, within the session, they're hour-long, like I said, so the presenter will provide the information. You have an opportunity to ask questions of the expert as well as hear from other caregivers. Because sometimes it just helps to hear from other people who are walking in your shoes, who are sitting where you're sitting, and so that helps to be able to hear from them. The next slide, please. So we record all of our sessions, so we have about 8 to 10 sessions. I know it's super tiny on the slide, but we do have calendars at our table. 8 to 10 sessions a month. If you're not able to attend live, if you go to our website, on the bottom of that calendar, caregiverteleconnection.org, all of our recorded sessions are there. So if you can't make the session, or maybe you went, but you want to hear it again, you can go to our website and listen to those recorded sessions. Next slide, please. And then our stress busting program. I wanted to share this with you too. This is an evidence-based program, so it's been studied and proven to reduce the stress and anxiety and some of those hard feelings that you may feel as a caregiver. It is a 9-week program, hour and a half a week, and what we're doing is we're teaching caregivers stress management techniques as well as coping skills as it relates to caregiving. We're giving you those tools that you need. We talk a lot about the relaxation techniques, we go over those, but we also talk about some coping, how you can manage some of the things that you're dealing with as caregivers, whether it is the behaviors that you see with persons with Alzheimer's, it could be with family members, just some of the general stressors that many caregivers face. And so, again, this is a 9-week course. So we have a suite of programs. We have a program, a stress busting program strictly for caregivers of persons with dementia. We also have another one for caregivers of a chronic illness, so it doesn't have to be dementia, it's more general, a stroke or diabetes or anything along those lines. And then both of these programs are in Spanish as well. And I will say for the professionals, we're rolling out another program. It's a stress busting program for professional caregivers, those in the caring field, because we know that you all experience that level of stress, providing care for the clients you serve. This is a shorter version, a modified version of the one that we do for family caregivers. We do it in about 4 hours, where we can cover compassion fatigue and things like that. So these are our stress busting programs. These are offered online and in person as well. We've even had some hybrid classes. And so if you're interested in finding out where some of these are, just let us know. Also want to let you know about a caregiver toolkit. We had one on our table, and I think Meals on Wheels or Brace Place had them available as well. This is just a general toolkit about, these are different topics that as a caregiver you should at least be aware of. You know, and then, so we talk a little bit about the topic, whether it's caring for someone with dementia or what to know about discharge. You know, if your loved one is getting ready to be discharged from the hospital. So different things like that. And so then we also have some local resources available to at least get you started in your journey and finding out more information about that. So these are online as well. We have them in English and Spanish. And so these next couple slides, I just wanted to share about a resource that we also have on our website. It's called Active Daily Living. Next slide, please. You do have to sign up, but all you have to do is put in your email, your name and your email, but it's a number of different resources for you as a caregiver. We have aging in place guides. So if you want to see different ways, you know, to make your home safer, you know, so there's some articles and tips on how to age in place. We've got quick care tips, healthcare navigator, so someone that can, articles that can help answer questions about healthcare. Next slide, please. We'll just go through these quickly. So this is the aging in place. So, you know, it talks about different, so you can see the different topics, and I'm sorry, the print is getting smaller and smaller these days. I think I have to finally admit that I need to go get my eyes checked. But it gives you tips on different topics related to, again, to aging in place. Next slide, please. So these are the quick care tips, you know, so it gives you just practical, low-cost, free tips on how to, you know, to help with things. So like if someone that might have a hard time turning a door around door handle, putting rubber bands around that door handle to make it easier to grip. You know, different things like that. They have one for pulling up socks for someone that had a hard time putting on their own socks and it's hard to bend over. Well, getting socks that are a little bit big enough, but having a small magazine to help pull up. You insert it into your sock and it helps kind of pull it up. So it's, you know, just different tips to help you with that. Next slide, please. And then this one is the family care guide. So these are different topics. These are articles on a variety of different topics related to caregiving. So again, this is just a resource. This is just one of those resources. Next slide, please. So, you know, this is our contact information. As I said, we have 3 caregiver specialists here in town. But I just want to, again, you know, and I talked about, you know, asking for help, being okay with that. You don't have to do this journey by yourself. There are a lot of organizations, you saw them out in the room there. You know, a lot of tables will link to help, that have some information that might be able to help. That 1-800 number for the Alzheimer's Association, a great resource. They can help you with community resources as well as being a listening ear. You know, at 3 o'clock, it's a 24-hour hotline. 3 o'clock in the morning, you're worried about your loved one, their new behavior has shown up, or maybe you just have gotten that diagnosis of dementia. You can call them at 3 o'clock in the morning and talk to somebody and help you. They can help you walk through whatever it is that you're experiencing. These are trained people. It's not just someone, you know, call center, someone asking, you know, answering the phone. These are trained people there to help you. So my point is that don't do this journey by yourself. There are people in this community willing to help you and able to help you. Again, this is our contact information. If you have any questions, you're not sure where to start, please don't hesitate to give us a call. And you know, we're here to help, as is you know, everybody that is participating in this. And again, I want to thank the Alzheimer's Association for putting this on. Education is key. Knowing where to go is a key. That gives you that control. When you know what you're doing and you know where to at least go to get the help, you're going to feel better. That's going to help reduce your stress a little bit too. So anyway, thank you all very much. I guess I'll just see if there's any questions before I step down and all of that. Any questions? Everyone ready to go? I know it's been a long day. So thank you all very much. If you think of something later, don't hesitate to
That was fantastic. See, did I tell you we saved the best for last? Thank you, Tina. And of course, WellMed for all the great work they do. So she did steal my thunder, right? Our title was Better Together. And I shouldn't say stole the thunder. You just reiterated the point that that this whole conference has been filled with the people who can help you get through this challenge together. All of these agencies work together, they interlace, they refer to each other, so literally call any of them, but I will put in the plug for contacting the Alzheimer's Association. For Alzheimer's and related dementia, the Alzheimer's Association is certainly here to help. Their 1-800 number is staffed, as Tina said, 24 hours a day, and they're here to help. Staff is in the back and here to help as well. Hopefully you got a chance to meet and do a video, right? No? Did you get some videos? Okay. Well, you can, if you want to talk to, send a video to your, and when you're doing videos, I'm sorry, I can't even remember, right? Videos, come tell me. You're doing videos for advocacy. Chelsea Rangel, advocacy.
Hi everyone, thank you all so much for joining us today. I've had the pleasure to connect with a handful of you all. There's an opportunity to sign a constituent sign-on letter to your member of Congress to let them know that this should be a priority. If you have not signed, I will be at the booth in the back. We need as many signatures as possible. So thank you all.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry. Like I said, if I don't write it down by the end of day. One of the things, does everybody remember, so we want to thank the Norris Conference Center, right? This has been a fantastic day. And I think I said before, somebody is spending their birthday with us. Angel is over here. Angel. You don't want to hear me sing, but we can kick us off with singing happy birthday to Angel. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Angel. Happy birthday to you.
So again, thank you to the Norris Conference Center for just making this a special event for us. So it's been a great day, helping us with our tech challenges, and just opening up your facility. It's been fantastic. And for CEUs, I think, I probably didn't say this online early enough. I think, we had CEUs for the morning sessions. Those will be emailed out later next week. And then everybody should have gotten an evaluation just to see how we did. If you have any suggestions moving forward, if you can, either you can leave them on your table or you can hand them in at the Alzheimer's booth as you leave. I think that's about it. We want to, certainly thank our community sponsors. Again, we can't do this without them, but more importantly, we can't do it without you. So thank you all very much for attending, and we'll see you next year.